Probably want to pull the microphone closer to you.
Yeah, definitely.
So you don't have to, like, hurt your back.
I was gonna...
Although that might be a good excuse for later if you give up a goal. You're like, I had this microphone. I had to reach for it. Now my back feels weird.
Yeah, this podcast.
That's why I gave up 8 goals. Hey, Pens fans. Or whoever else you are. I don't know. Don't care. What's up? This is the Pens Prognosis with me, Kevin, and this other guy.
That's me, Chris.
Yep. It's been a little while. Sue us. We don't really care. What was the last... when was the last podcast we did? What was it? 11/26? Was that the right date?
Yeah, I thought I saw in your little
like
thing it was 11/21.
So there's been 15 games in the meantime. I don't know.
I don't know how many games it's been.
Close to
It's
that.
been a lot. And obviously a lot of stuff has happened in that time. So in a way, it's kind of nice for us because it gives us something to actually talk about.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably already plenty to talk about anyway, but
Right,
we'll go with that excuse. Yeah. So now, yeah, that's the reason. All right, so one thing that happened since the last episode, I did go to the Pens game when they came to see the Wild. And, yeah, I just went by myself. That was, what was that, around Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
I swear, every time those two teams play each other, it's always like Thanksgiving, right when I have to go home, and then I can't watch it here.
Yeah, it always is. I think last year was the day after Christmas they came.
Oh, yeah. It's always something stupid like that.
Yeah, so I just I went down to St. Paul and I caught that game, and it was pretty bad. That was like one of the worst games of the season for the Pens.
Yeah, from what I remember, that definitely was the case. We just didn't generate enough offense somehow, tangible offense. I think we had a ton of shots on Dubnyk somehow, but we just didn't score.
Yeah, they just looked like exhausted, mentally, physically exhausted, like not pressuring on the forecheck, just letting up on everything. And the Wild came to play, and with those two things considered, like it was pretty obvious what was going to happen.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. I mean, any time a road game happens like that can happen. But I don't remember if it was like a back-to-back or anything. If it was, maybe that had something to do with it.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. Fleury did play that game. But, I wouldn't say that any of that was his fault necessarily. It was just a bad one. But, as usual, Wild fans were great. They, if you got to go to a game anywhere, if you're in St. Paul, Minnesota, That's a great place to watch hockey. The fans know what's going on. They're all really nice. Everyone's just there to have a good time, watch a hockey game. You don't get the trash. I mean, a little bit of trash talking, but, nothing aggressive. People are just there to have fun, and it's a really nice place to watch a game. Like, I can go wear my Crosby jersey to the game and not have to worry about, like, expletives being launched at me just because I'm wearing a certain person's jersey.
Well, right, the one guy I was talking to at the bar yesterday, he said that happened to him. He was by, the Vikings stadium wearing his Clay Matthews jersey, and he got jumped by some guys, which is just inexcusable. And, I mean, I guess that's the nice thing about, the Wild games and stuff, or really just any Minnesota hockey fans. They seem knowledgeable. Maybe it's just because, I don't know what it is. It's the difference between hockey and football culture of fans, but yeah.
At least here it is.
Just anywhere with the NFL, it seems like it's just a big, drinking shit show, and it just always involves, bad stuff happening. Maybe not always. I shouldn't, speak in blanket terms like that, but there's definitely, a problem there that's been noted.
Yeah, hockey definitely can flirt with that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite seem to have the sort of tribalism.
Yeah,
that's just I hate this person for their team, not for any other reason. That's just dumb.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you obviously hear stories of Philadelphia. I know when I went to Detroit in the finals in 2008, it was a lot of bad stuff, like Crosby's a fag, all this.
Oh, God.
And it's just dude, what? Why?
Yeah, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent about this stuff, but I know the other day, somebody tweeted something to Brad Marchand, some homophobic type thing. I don't repeat what the guy said, but, basically, Marchand called him out on it and said that wasn't okay. And some of like the people on Twitter were like kind of like happy about that because he kind of like spoke out against it, even though like, I mean, I don't know much about Marchand as a person. We all kind of know what he's like on the ice, obviously. Yeah. But it was good to hear that because that type of stuff isn't acceptable. And I'm glad that, like, somebody, like, in the position, like, of his, like, actually said something about it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's definitely a part of what happens on the ice a lot.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true.
I think it's starting to kind of go away a little bit. Players are more conscious about, you know, what their words mean.
Yeah.
And how it affects a lot of people that they might not realize at first. And at the same time, everybody's mic'd up now, too. That's a part of it.
Yeah,
and,
that is true.
You know, players are a little bit more scared to say things. But at the same time, I mean, guys are still saying that nasty stuff out there. You know it's true. Like,
it's just locker room talk.
Yeah, I mean, and, you know.
I don't need to go any further into that.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was getting at with the whole conversation was... you know, St. Paul is a great place to watch a hockey game. You know, the fans are super respectful, and it's just a fun place to watch a game.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so the Penguins got killed in Minnesota, and then
a lot has happened since
then. They had another really bad game too, didn't they?
I think somewhere around the time we last podcasted, it was like that 7-1 Capitals game. Obviously, the worst one that I remember of recent was the 7-1 Blue Jackets game. And we got to hear that fucking cannon go off how many times? And
for those about to rock, we salute you.
Oh my god!
Like that makes sense, right?
Honestly, like with Tortorella being their coach and like this stupid Brandon Dubinsky just being an overall like dirty player and stuff. Like I actually might hate that team more than the Flyers. It's getting there.
Well, hey, the Flyers could use an AC/DC song too.
Okay.
Dirty deeds done dirt cheap.
No,
it's Flyers motto right there, everybody.
Oh god, yeah, that's a good point.
Cheaters.
Oh god.
Yeah, we love you, Flyers fans.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got? You got something, Chris?
No, I mean, I guess the biggest story of recent, anyhow, is Letang's been out all these games.
Yeah.
And so, to me, that just means that other people had to step up and change their roles, essentially.
I would say Daly being out actually had maybe even more of an impact because then Schultz had the opportunity to step up.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something
on the power play more specifically because I think when Letang was out before, Daly was doing more of that, right?
I think
he stepped in.
Yeah, I think usually that's how they do it because Daly is. I mean, you got three defensemen on this team who really provide like all the tangible offense. It's Letang is obviously number one. You could argue that Daly might actually even be better in that area, and then Schultz has been great recently. So yeah, it's at least we had some like backup options there. But yeah, like obviously, like I said, it just changed a lot of people's roles. Basically, for the first like 2 games after Letang went out, basically they put Schultz up on that top pairing on the right side just because they don't have any right-handed defensemen.
Yeah.
So what they did. And he did fine against the Kings, but then he got absolutely destroyed in that game against Toronto. I forget what like the shots like for and against were him for, but he just got annihilated against Austin Matthews' line and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then so what they did the next like however many games, I want to say it's been like there's 8 total games in there. The next 6, they basically put Ali Mata and Dumoulin on the top pairing, and it was actually kind of surprising. Like, Ali Mata really stepped up during that time. He hasn't had the greatest year, but over that stretch, he did really good. And now part of that, too, is, like, we played New Jersey and Carolina some of those games. And the other thing, too, is, like, when you're down, like, 7-1, you might get more shots in that game and stuff.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought they did pretty well in that position that they were in. And then Schultz, I don't know if we're allowed to call him that.
Justin Schultz.
Yep. He did
AKA
fine.
Jolts.
Yeah, exactly. He did fine in the second pairing role. I think he was like a little bit under 50% in terms of possession. But with him, he provides a lot of like tangible offense like Daly. So you can kind of take your lumps in terms of that. And then also like he kind of makes up for it essentially.
Yeah, I think Schultz has been great. He's been looking comfortable and smooth. He's making good passes, and I think that's especially working really well in the Penguin system, where there's it seems like there's almost always guys open on the breakout. They know where to be, and when Schultz can just pick up his head and find a guy, his good passing takes over and makes lots of good plays out of the zone.
Yeah, exactly. I think Sullivan's just done such a great job in terms of being this like defenseman whisperer or something. And part of it too is just like you have Malkin and Crosby, and if they're in the right position on the breakout, like Crosby can just fly past everybody still. Like he's still that good. Yeah. So that's part of it. Like besides like Letang, none of these guys like really had a history of being like great defensemen before recently, and that's kind of why I think is like really if you can just get Crosby the puck with a little bit of speed, you don't have to do much more than that, and that's that's obviously like a Mike Sullivan thing, just coaching and using Crosby how he should be used. But yeah, it's not like rocket science.
Yeah, I don't think it's even just Crosby. I think the whole team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The team is just effective right now. The whole team has speed, and they're playing smart at the same time. Speed and smarts, it's unbeatable.
Yeah, exactly. I just use Crosby as an example because he's the most obvious one. But really, like all their centers, like they actually have center depth now. Even Matt Cullen is like really solid still at age 40 or whatever he is, 39.
Yeah, absolutely. He definitely is solid.
Yeah, I think it's just like part positioning, part timing. But yeah, they actually have a cohesive breakout now. Other than obviously under that old coach who shall not be named, that didn't happen as much. What was his name again?
I don't know who you're talking about.
As far as
Scotty Bowman.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he was all right. As far as Schultz, I think. When he's in that third pairing, he's great. When he's in that top pairing, he's in a little bit over his head. So I think, as far as the thing is, he's a restricted free agent after this year, and he might get priced out of playing for us anymore. Is kind of the thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's next year or if it's the year after. I forget exactly how that works, but at some point they're going to have to make a decision on him.
Right.
And if I had to guess, they're probably going to let him go, just because if you don't think he can
if they're smart, they'll do it very soon.
Well, yeah, that's a good point too. If you can get something for him, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Obviously,
with the way he's playing right now, if you're gonna try to trade him, try to do it while he's playing really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. Do it while the kettle or the iron's hot.
So hot.
The kettle. No, you're very right on that.
Get your kettle chips.
The only reason I don't think they'll do it is because he's your only other right-handed defenseman. So that would be a real problem for this team is if they did it now.
Yeah,
especially now while they're still really competitive and one of the best teams.
Yeah,
it's hard.
You'd have to find a smart move, but I don't know. The team is so strong right now. I honestly probably wouldn't want to see them move anything.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of in the same boat, honestly.
Unless they want to trade Malkin.
No, don't be that guy.
Malkin for Ovechkin.
Yeah, right. It just feels like HF.
This is a video game, right?
Oh my god, I know. Those are the types of trades you see on those really dumb, either in a comment section or HF boards. And they just have the dumbest trade ideas that are completely unrealistic.
4-way trade.
Yeah, the 4-way trades are always the best. Those and any player, anytime you're just giving up nothing to get something huge, are always hilarious.
Penguins give up Crosby and Malkin, but they get Shane Doan and Henrik Zetterberg.
Right. Oh my god. Well, the funny thing too is we actually kind of pulled it off with that Scuderi trade. I mean, that seemed totally unrealistic at the time, but it actually worked. Yeah. So
Blackhawks,
obviously that kind of sums up my thoughts on Schultz. Good third pairing guy, okay second pairing, probably not in your first pairing. So you're right. If we could move him for something, maybe, but
I like him on the power play though.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I like him better than the other two on the power play, to be honest.
Yeah, and the thing is with the power play, really, you don't have any defensive responsibilities, so it kind of allows him to just do what he's good at.
I like his simplicity. I mean, He's simple, but he reads the play well. I mean, he scored a couple goals recently where, he kind of brought it into the middle, and he had some nice, I think, short side blocker shots where he just got a good open place to shoot from and, slid into it and took a nice shot and scored.
Yeah, I know, and
that's something that Letang just, I don't know.
People have always kind of criticized his offensive, ability in those situations.
And just his shooting more. I don't know. And especially if he's gonna shoot, I'd like to see him shoot more and just take more simple shots. But I mean,
right. Well, he needs to be a threat to shoot because otherwise they're just gonna guard Malkin because he is your primary shot that you want to try and get it to. He's kind of like the Ovechkin of your power play.
Yeah.
So, and we need Letang to be more like John Carlson and just use that hard shot and actually have it be a threat. When he does that, we're fine because then it opens up all the other possibilities. Yeah. When he doesn't, that's a problem, and that's what it was for that time under Johnston and kind of the earlier parts of Sullivan. But honestly, they've kind of got it figured out a little better now, so that's good.
Yeah. What else you got?
I don't know. What do we want to talk about next? Mata or something?
No, we already talked about Mata. Please, no more.
No more? Well, yeah, like I said, he's been good recently, but on the season, it hasn't been, the best. On the season, he's under 50. He's 49% possession, something like that. Yeah. Which on this team is kind of inexcusable because everybody else is doing better than that, essentially.
Yeah.
With him, remember he used to kind of provide tangible offense back in the day. At least it seemed like that. Maybe that was just because he was with Niskanen and they were focusing more on him, and then he was playing pairing minutes.
I don't think they expected him to really play defense that well, so they let him kind of go. But I think over time it started to become obvious he was sacrificing responsibility for offense.
Yeah, and the thing about him is, do you remember that game against the Wild a year ago or something? That was the one where he got hit straight into the edge of the bench, the door was open.
Yeah.
And he's never really been the same since then in terms of his skating ability, which was always kind of a knock against him to begin with, but now it seems like it's even worse.
Yeah, he seems pretty slow out there.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. So the issue is if he does pinch and try to provide more tangible offense, he might not be fast enough to recover.
Yeah, there's no recovery there.
And so now his tangible offense is non-existent. Yeah. I forget what his points per 60 is, but it's 0.22 or something stupid.
Yeah.
It's down there. It's kind of Rob Scuderi honestly.
Yeah, I know I made that comment in our notes to maybe move Mata because I don't know. He doesn't seem to be developing really.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what he does with the rest of the year. If he doesn't do anything special, then yeah, you do need to get a right-handed defenseman on this team who can actually play in the top four. I don't know if Mata's bad enough, maybe nobody will want him and he'll still be okay for us or something. But ideally,
I think if we go another deep cup run, I mean that makes everybody on the team more valuable.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Plain and simple.
No, I agree with you there. We'll see what happens. I think this last half of the season is going to be a real kind of decent test of where he's at. I'm hoping at some point if it is injury related, but that's been a long time ago, so it's almost kind of hard to use that as an excuse anymore. I know last year I want to say he played overseas or something like that in some tournament. I forget what all the details were there, but he just kind of had a short off season, and that was maybe why they thought he never had time to recover from his injury.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But I know people have kind of floated the ideas of trying to trade for Dougie Hamilton because the Flames are kind of for whatever reason they mentioned his name as a trade possibility. Yeah. The other thing, too, is, we need to get rid of Fleury at some point. So it's, somehow maybe we can make something work with these pieces, Fleury, and then, Derek Pouliot. We could talk about him in a little bit. He might be a guy that they're, looking to get rid of.
Yeah, it's hard to say who you'd include in a kind of deal like that, a Fleury deal.
Right, exactly. It's just ideally, I think we do need to there's been Trouba had his contract negotiations. He sat out part of the year this year. I mean, those are the types of guys who, like, you know, they're young, they're right-handed, they're probably good. I think Sullivan could make, a good defenseman out of them, of all people.
Bring in Diamphanouf. Take all the Maple Leaf rejects.
Oh, no.
Make them Stanley Cup champions.
Well, he did that with if he could do it with Schultz, he could do it with anybody.
Oh,
right?
I'm talking about Kessel.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, yeah. That was. Oh my God.
That would be the next logical step, right, Diamphanouf?
Some of the steals Rutherford has made are actually pretty impressive.
He's been great.
Yeah, I there's like some I still am a little. There's one in particular I didn't like as much, but I guess it worked out, so I'm not going to complain about it.
The culture that he's brought to the team is exactly what I knew they needed all along. They weren't fast enough. They weren't good enough on the forecheck. You know, they had that Crosby line always that was great on the forecheck, but didn't have enough else going on. They had Bo Bennett and...
Yeah. I
it's all Bo Bennett's fault mostly. I think, yeah.
It all comes back to Bo. Poor Bo. No, I hear you. He obviously hit the jackpot with Sullivan. I don't know if that was by luck or just because obviously he was within the Pittsburgh organization already.
Right.
But he that's exactly what we needed. You're right. And then he got the pieces in place to actually implement what Sullivan wanted to do, and the rest is history.
Well, yeah, they traded for the right guys. They brought in, Hagelin, Kessel, Daly.
Yeah, Hagelin definitely. Obviously, Kessel.
Daly, Schultz. Schultz wasn't fantastic last year. He's been better this year, I think, a lot more.
But they're using.
But at the same time, and then they also brought up the right guys. They brought up Rust and Sheary, the guys that play that game, the guys that make the right forechecks and do it hard and fast and never stop skating, because those are the guys that you need. Those are the guys that I've said all along are the best with Crosby too. If we're gonna, we might as well transition to that while I'm at it,
right?
Because Crosby all along, I thought Dupuis was pretty good alongside Crosby. He was fast, and he was able to keep up with him at least, but his hands weren't that great. That was kind of always the drawback.
Yeah.
But what you see with Rust and Shear right now, they're perfect. You don't need some superstar like Ilya Kovalchuk alongside Crosby or something like that.
Right.
That's the exact opposite of what you need. Crosby is run and gun at his best. And when you have guys that are just as good as him at that, honestly, at times right now, Crosby looks kind of lazy out there just because of what Sheary and Rust are doing.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying.
They swarm like crazy, and Crosby kind of floats a little bit, which generally when he does that, he's not playing at his best. That's when he gets into his slumps, when he starts to just try to anticipate the play rather than dominate the play.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But, with these guys, they're coughing up the puck for him all the time. They just go get it. And then he swoops in, and oh man, you can see in the numbers right now.
Absolutely.
He scores every damn game.
Yeah, Sheary is. He's definitely the biggest call up we've had from the baby Penguins. Yeah. With him, he's kind of like the new younger Dupuis. I don't know, people have knocked his hands a little bit, but the same thing was said about Dupuis, obviously, and he did just fine here.
I saw Sheary making some pretty good moves, I thought.
I don't know if I even agree with that assessment.
His hands are getting better. From what I saw originally, that's probably just, being new to the NHL. It's not
it
seems
it's
easy to dangle in the NHL.
No, absolutely not, especially with how good defensemen are nowadays. Yeah. He's got a good enough shot that he can finish Crosby's opportunities. He's actually 13th in points per 60 right now in the entire league. So
I believe that.
Yeah, he's doing great. Really, Crosby just needs guys who can finish the opportunities that are given to them, and they seem to be doing that.
Yeah. And even better, they're creating opportunities too, which is kind of unprecedented for Crosby line mate.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Generally speaking, Crosby's line mates are just kind of there.
Well, speaking of Crosby's line mates, I kind of wrote this down. Hornqvist, obviously he scores a lot on the power play, and okay, I'm gonna admit I stole this from another podcast. The Garage League podcast kind of looked this up, and I was listening to it on the way home. But at even strength, Hornqvist has 3 goals on the year.
Yeah,
his goals per 60 is way down there with I forget the names of the guys. That's kind of the types of the fourth liners on the Capitals type guys.
Yeah,
and Claude Giroux's down there. Just kind of funny.
What? He's great though. That's impossible.
Yeah, didn't Pierre say something about that?
I don't listen to him, so I wouldn't know.
No, he's the new best player in the league. Remember?
Wah, 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 wah.
Yep, a little Charlie Brown action there. That's probably a good way to do it. You'll not lose as many brain cells.
Yeah, I like my brain cells where they are in my brain.
Yeah, so with Hornqvist, obviously he does a good job on that power play, but I feel like anybody could do well on that power play, honestly.
Kunitz could do the same thing.
Yeah,
although Kunitz is kind of in the same boat. I mean,
Kunitz has the exact same points per 60 as Crosby, but playing on, I guess he's on Malkin's line, so it's kind of the same deal, more or less. But
is he on Malkin's line?
Well, okay, it switched a little bit here and there, but I think he has been for the most part recently. But with him, I
thought recently it was Kessel and Hagelin. That was what I remembered.
Yeah, I remember Kessel and Kunitz, Kessel and Hagelin. It kind of switches a little bit here and there. I don't know. I'm kind of curious about that too.
Yeah,
honestly.
Kunitz here and Kessel. Yeah, it's
yeah,
they're flipping them around a lot. There's Kunitz and Kessel and Malkin, and then there's Hagelin, Kessel, and Malkin. And then there's the HBK sometimes.
Right, it kind of depends whether they're doing HBK or not, basically. But yeah, that's the thing that disappoints me a little bit is basically he's got the same points per 60 as Kunitz, and Kunitz is 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. Now, granted, Hornqvist is kind of a streaky guy. I remember last year, he was kind of in the same rut. Then all of a sudden, he started pouring it on. He had, the 3-goal game against the Coyotes, and then he just started really turning it on at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm not super worried about it, but I actually looked it up. Since Sullivan became coach, I just kind of looked up his stats versus, James Neal. James Neal has, double the goals. And he's not playing with Crosby. Obviously, I don't know. I could see kind of why they traded James Neal and stuff, but I really wish they would have got something a little better for him, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Hornqvist, I like Hornqvist. I like what he brings across the board, not just in terms of how many points he puts in. I mean, he plays a good complete game, and
he is a good forechecker for sure.
And he's obviously one of those tough guys that, he'll get in there and get his nose dirty when shit starts to get weird.
That's a good point. I mean, I think...
Which I also see with, Fair. Fair's definitely been stepping into that kind of role. He's been, sort of a watchdog, because obviously he's kind of at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of who's doing anything. And you can kind of see that. I don't know if they're telling him that or if he's just, understanding it, naturally. I'm not scoring goals, so I better start, doing something else.
No, he knows. He has to.
Which is...
There's a reason he's getting scratched for the likes of,
And, I don't see him really fighting at all, but, you do see him sticking up for guys recently, and that's okay. I mean, I don't see Fair as, that bad of a player. That he's, a liability for us. Because, I mean... He played a good amount of time during the playoffs last year, too. Even on the fourth line, they still used him quite a bit, and he did fine.
He had that one big goal, I think it was against Tampa, maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was the Sharks. I think it was the Sharks. Yeah, he just had that one big goal.
He's kind of
10 years.
He's kind of like the Mike Rupp. Yeah. He'll just get out there, do whatever, and score a goal, and, kind of... shove his glove in some guys' faces, and then that's it. And then next year he'll be gone probably.
Yeah. No, I remember how bad the depth was back when we had Craig Adams and Sutter and Chuck Kobasu, especially when he got really decimated. Some of these guys, good God, Taylor Pyatt and holy God. I can't even think of some of them, but once we got fair, like, I was kind of happy that it seemed like we were actually moving in the right direction of getting, like, real hockey players to, like, supplement the fourth line.
Right.
So it didn't work out quite as well as we wanted, but, like, he's still, like, more serviceable. He's been all right. Yeah. I mean, I think if you were to, like, change him with anybody, it would have to be Jake Gensel, but...
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. With him, the only like issue would be like they'd have to pay him a bonus if he plays so many games or something.
Yeah.
And that like goes to the cap or whatever.
What else you got? Malkin's been a lot better in terms of penalties.
Yeah.
That's been a big problem.
Well, I don't notice him taking one every 2 seconds.
No, he's been a lot better. Really, yeah. He hasn't been taking as many penalties at all. And the whole team's been pretty good at that, actually. I think that's contributing to their success.
Well, the thing I like about someone like Sullivan is even from the Stars, I don't think he's going to take shit from anybody.
No.
So if like somebody is screwing up, he will let them know. I have no doubt in my mind.
Sullivan definitely gives out the shit.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he does.
Like I said, I was watching the Montreal game that just happened, and
yeah.
I see him yelling at the ref after an offsides call, and I was curious, and I go back, and of course... There's Sullivan standing right on the blue line. Just standing on the back bench, right on the blue line. And he read his lips and he says to the ref, I'm just telling you, I watched it. It's like, oh, God, take it easy, Sully.
Oh, yeah, no, he's an intense guy.
The refs are human beings, too. They don't like that.
I know. We both did it. But, yeah, the thing is, if I was a ref, I'd probably just... There's certain coaches where I didn't, care. Like, it's like, I'll argue with you. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
But, Sullivan, I would just be like, okay, sorry, sir.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, if he's right, then I admit it. But, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
When you just complain all game long, it kind of loses its effectiveness.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, oh, okay, again? All right, cool, whatever, coach.
Exactly.
See you later. And then you kind of lose your ability to even have a real conversation anymore. That's kind of what... That's what I don't like to see him flirt with too much. Don't push it too far. We want to keep a respectful dialogue going at least.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he'll probably be fine.
We won the cup last year, so fuck it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't complain about anything that guy's been doing. If there's any complaints, they're really small ones. Actually, the only really small one I can say is how they've handled Derek Pouliot. It seems like anytime he makes some mistake, big or small, they send him down to the baby Penguins where he's not, he tears it up there and it's pointless. Yeah. And then, he comes here and he's constantly in this, I can't screw up mode. Mm-hmm. And, obviously that, you know how that is, I'm sure. Remember, I remember you telling me when you played, the coach would drill stupid stuff into your head, and it probably, once you did get on the ice, it was you probably couldn't play as you wanted to, ideally.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's you wanna be kind of open minded and free flowing when you're playing hockey. If you're constantly second guessing yourself, you're done. It's over.
Right, and what we don't want is for him, he's this guy who has a lot of offensive potential and good skating ability. Mm-hmm. He's left-handed like Mata. Ideally, if Mata wasn't cutting it, you'd have someone like him in the depth ranks to replace him. Well, they just sent him back to the baby Penguins again, and granted, he did screw up a little bit. I remember that Leafs game; he was directly responsible for that goal in overtime or something like that. And, it's it happens. There was a lot of other things that happened that game, but his resulted in the goal against, unfortunately, and that was that. It's unfortunate. I don't think he'll be around much longer after this. This has been, it just keeps happening over and over. And Sullivan, he'll say stuff through, the grapevines about, his attitude or just like doing the wrong things or what have you. So, I mean, I think hopefully we can use him in like some type of trade because he does have a lot of potential. I think he'll be fine somewhere else where he's actually given a shot. And hopefully we can actually use that to bring something back. But the problem right now is like we just totally destroyed like any trade value he has. And that's just kind of, it's like the opposite of Schultz basically. You know?
Right. Oh, yeah. One thing I wanted to mention, I can't remember where I read it. I read it somewhere. I know you have notes here about how bad the team needs a right-handed defenseman.
Yeah.
And I did read something where they said that Daly didn't do well in Chicago because they had him on the left side, and he prefers the right side.
Yeah, I know he like prefers the right side.
And that we've been playing him on the right side, and that's contributed to his kind of resurgence, I guess.
Yeah, well, the thing was, when he played on the left with Letang, he was absolutely dominant. Like, they were, like, carrying play at, like, 60% or something stupid like that.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, you could probably compare that to, like, Crosby and Malkin playing on the same line, though.
Well, that's true. No, I mean, well, think about it, though. Like, Dumoulin...
Doesn't mean that's where they should be.
You know, like, he was more effective there than, like, Dumoulin or Mata. Right. So... I don't think, like, he's, like, the one exception where he does play his opposite hand.
Yeah, but Letang and Daly, I mean, if they're out there together, like, what side are they really going to be playing on? They're going to be fucking all over the place. Like, let's be honest.
No, I know. I'm thinking, like, in terms of, like, breakouts, like, obviously Daly's like that, like, he is the guy who can play the opposite side and do well at it.
I mean,
he's done it his whole career.
Especially if he's more... I mean, I know when I played, I grew up watching Yager, and he was a left-handed right winger, and that's what I did, and that's just what was more natural. I mean, you just learn to play with your body in different positions necessarily than the typical way, and...
Yeah, no, you're right. It's different with defensemen, mainly because if you want to thread that stretch pass down, like, the wall that you're on, like, doing it opposite-handed is really hard. You're going to have to, like, bank it off the boards. Now, granted, it's not going to matter much if Crosby's just right there in the center, like, right in the perfect spot.
We don't really do that much.
Right, no.
At least not anymore.
Yeah, I'd noticed it more, like, last year.
Mata still tries to do it.
Well, yeah, Pouliot, like, was actually kind of good at it too, but no, it's like right now. Obviously, if you can just hit Crosby in the middle, you're gonna be fine. Or Malkin or Bonino, even like Cohen. They're all like good enough position that probably doesn't matter. And like you're right, like so technically, like with Letang, Schultz, and Daly all healthy, it doesn't really matter that much like anymore. But like if any of those guys goes down, like then you have a problem. And if Schultz and Daly might be gone pretty soon here, just because like their contracts and whatnot. Yeah. So that's where I'm kind of coming from, like thinking more like future.
I don't know. Daly's a little older. I think I can see him staying with the Penguins.
Probably.
I don't think he can command that much money that the Pens won't be able to afford him, and I think he'll probably realize. I think he likes the situation he's in. Seems like he likes being on the team, and I mean that does have some weight.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't know if that's more in hockey than other sports necessarily, but it seems like it might be where guys don't necessarily always follow the money. They obviously that's a huge part of it for almost every player, but at the same time you see guys that they want to win, or they just want to be somewhere where that makes sense for them. Like, I know Yager, when he came back to the NHL from Russia, he, he said he wanted to be on the Penguins at first. And then I think, his reasoning for eventually changing his mind was that he wanted to, he wanted to play like on the power play. And he wanted a place where he fit well, where it made sense. And that's why he went to Philadelphia, because the Flyers suck and don't have any good players.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's not always the money for a lot of guys. There's other factors that are involved, and I think Daly is probably a good example of that. A little older player in a great place where he's still like an important piece of the team, and they're winning. Like, winning is fun. Guys like winning.
Yeah, I was thinking more of this world like that we're currently in, where there's idiot GMs are going to pay him 4 times his value or something.
Well,
like the Oilers.
Yeah, and he'll probably get those phone calls, and yeah, I mean that's the game. Who knows what he wants to do?
I just think of this certain team that traded Taylor Hall for Adam freaking Larson, and enough said about that. God. But I could see like some team like teams. That, maybe not even that team. Well, yeah, that's a good point. But like I could see like some team just like
our
paying
hometown
him way
team?
too much. I'm thinking Schultz is the bigger flight risk, obviously. Oh God. Yeah, that's an interesting.
Thank God Dubnyk worked out for the Wild. Otherwise, they'd be screwed.
Oh yeah, no, I was like looking them up. They're an interesting one because with them, they're on this 12-game win streak, but their underlying numbers, 48% possession, not very impressive.
Yeah.
There's some other weird caveats with them, like in terms of scoring chances against, they're like lowest in the league. Now, some of that might be like. They've talked about this on other podcasts. Like scoring chances get calculated really differently at different rinks and stuff like that, and that's part of it. But in terms of like actual like shots against, like the Wild are yielding a ton, which isn't surprising. It's a Bruce Boudreau team.
Yeah.
So I think at some point, like a lot of this stuff is going to come back to earth. Their shooting percentage is kind of high all of a sudden. It's the Wild.
It usually does.
Yeah, exactly.
Minnesota sports in general usually come back down to earth after like 3 weeks.
Yeah, no, it's always funny too. The culture around here about that stuff is always like, oh, why can't we have nice things? It's really funny, honestly.
Yeah, and sad.
I know. I feel not that bad because some of those people are just so insufferable to be around, and like obviously we're a Penguins podcast and we just won the cup, but so I could see why people might tune us out.
Yeah, I think the Vikings is probably the worst of it. But yeah, I don't know. The Wild fans are pretty cool.
I know. I don't like hate the Wild or anything.
They're genuine fans that just want to see good hockey and watch their team win.
Yeah, and like you said, they're smart
and
people.
Have been constantly screwed. So
right.
I think I understand.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up. Do you have any funny moments that happened? Do you remember?
Well, that Fleury save was pretty funny.
The Fleury save, yeah. Fleury finding himself 3 feet out of position as usual.
Yeah.
Sprawling to make a miraculous save.
Yeah,
which was a great save, but the reason he had to make it was his own fucking fault, as usual.
No, that's kind of Fleury's career in a nutshell. He'll make some flashy play just out of like sheer because he has to, basically.
Yeah, he's the arsonist firefighter.
It's like,
I'll save everybody. Like, yeah, you started the fire though, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah, but still, no.
Yeah, exactly. No,
in comparison to the Price save that he made in the last game against the Penguins, where he made that great blocker save, and the puck kind of went up and was right above him, and he like tossed his stick and knocked it out of there with his blocker, which was not because he was out of position or did something stupid, just because he had to make a second save.
No, yeah.
So, like, a little bit different. You can see the difference between the two styles there. Price was still where he needed to be without sliding all over the place.
Yeah, no, exactly. No,
it's a good goalie.
Oh yeah, no, Price is
Fleury's a good goalie too. We love Fleury.
Yeah, definitely. It's but yeah,
he was one of the 3 stars of the week or month or week.
Oh really?
Yeah. He's still got it going.
Oh yeah, no. Well, Murray got hurt for a little stretch.
Fleury's still got the mojo.
Yeah, is Murray back or not?
No.
Okay.
No, he's not back
I didn't
yet.
even know, to be honest.
I think the last I saw was they said week to week.
Yeah, I'll admit I haven't been watching a ton of games recently just because of how much I've had to work. But, yeah, I know, like, Fleury's been playing well in the minutes he's gotten recently.
No, yeah, Fleury's been really good.
It's nice that, like, we're in this weird position with him where
he still doesn't know how to control the puck when he's not in the crease. I mean, he still feels the need to touch it until the last second when the defense comes to get it. Just like, God. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? You don't know. What am I going to do? Oh, I didn't do anything. It's like, damn it, Fleury. Just let it go.
Exactly. Fleury has so many funny moments.
He will never
just in
stop
general.
that.
Like, whenever you have to like make me think of a funny moment, that's probably going to be my go-to. I don't know. Have you thought of any recently? I can't, like...
No, yeah, just Fleury being Fleury. Can't go wrong there.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of I like that there's a lot of like funny personalities on this team. That also leads to just some funny stuff because
Kessel too.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Kessel's great. He's that mopey sort of.
Oh yeah, just
awkward, super awkward.
Yeah, I remember like right before the election, he had his like Phil 2016 shirt on.
Oh,
and
God.
It was like tries hard, is a good guy, loves the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Phil.
Gotta love Phil.
He's great. From Wisconsin, like us too.
Yeah, played here too.
All right. Do you have any you fucked up?
Well, that whole Blue Jackets game, maybe.
Yeah.
That game never happened, right?
That's probably a good one.
I don't know. I can't think of any like one specific person effing up. Really. I mean, we kind of talked about the one Pouliot play, but I don't know. Whatever. It'd have to be something bigger than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't really remember anything specific.
Do we have something written down for that or no?
No. There was one video clip that I sent to you. I think, who was it? Dumoulin and Mata, where like Dumoulin wrapped the puck around the boards and the other team just batted it right back down and went to Mata and he wrapped it back up to other boards and the team just shot it right back in the zone again. I'm like, God, enough of this clearing it up the boards crap to nobody. Like,
oh, I know. I've been now
that one was just like so obvious where it happened like one way and then exactly symmetrical on the other side of the ice with the other guy. I was like, are you kidding me, you guys?
Yeah, no, exactly. Now that I've started like tracking games a little bit, like you notice how often that type of stuff happens. Like, especially with some of these like really bad teams. Like, so I was doing that Mercyhurst first like Gopher game.
Yeah,
I don't think they had a controlled entry into the Gopher zone until like 7 minutes into the third period or something. They just threw the puck every time. It's the most terrible, boring brand of hockey I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of things that I watch, but yeah, it's kind of easier to understand it when you can break it down into, like, specific, like, action numbers.
Right, when you just see how many times they keep doing this. Like, it makes my life boring as hell. But
no, you're the one who made it boring.
Yeah, that's true.
You're the one tracking stats.
Yeah.
No one made you do that.
This is true.
All right, so, yeah, I don't know. We'll take the you fucked up. We fucked up. So that makes 2 you fucked ups for us on the season.
I think I fucked up my mic.
You fucked up your mic?
I think so. Am I talking? Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely still hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I fucked up with my mic. So, well, that's the you fucked up for.
You fucked up, Chris. I don't know what you're talking about. Everyone can still hear you and you sound dumb.
Yeah, I swear that wasn't intentional.
Now he's going to go play goalie.
Yeah, this should be interesting. I'll fuck up there too, I'm sure.
Yeah. We know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you'll blame someone else. It's all good.
Yeah, I mean, you know. That's...
My defenseman something.
Well, I mean, to be fair.
We won't say anything publicly.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah.
All right. I guess, yeah, we'll just wrap it up there. This has been Penn's Prognosis, episode 3.
Yeah, we'll try and do the next one not 1.5 months from now.
Yeah, maybe next season.
Maybe before the playoffs.
No. All right. Peace.
Yep. Bye, guys.